Hey, product people, it's Mike with Product Collective, and today we're going to talk a little bit about product leadership. What does it mean to be a great product leader? What are the competencies and concepts behind product leadership? You know, last fall we had the great Marty Cagan with us at Industry, the Product Conference, and of course, you know, Marty with Silicon Valley Product Group. He's basically the godfather of product management. I don't know if that's an official title or if anybody else has called him that. I'm calling him the godfather of product management. But Marty talked all about what it takes to move to the product operating model. That was the core concept that he talked about, this product operating model and what that means. And of course, you know, product operating model to a recent term that Marty coined, but really it's a collection of responsibilities, of competencies that hopefully product teams have had within themselves for quite some time. And if not, then maybe they're not a modern product organization. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. I wanted to pull out of this amazing 45-minute keynote talk pieces that are relevant to product leaders. Now, as a part of moving to the product operating model, Marty talked about several core competencies that an organization must have, product leadership being one of them. Now, there are several others, but I want to zoom in on product leadership because I know that many of us product managers, we aspire to be product leaders. Even if we have the product manager title within our organization, it doesn't mean that we can't exhibit the tenets of a product leader within our organization. We could show everybody else that we are ready to step up as product leaders. Eventually, we are going to take that leap and become product leaders. Of course, if you're already a product leader, you're going to want to watch this because you're going to want to make sure that these things that Marty's talking about, that these things ring true with you, that these things are things that are, you know, if you were to take a look in the mirror, so to speak, these are things that you are living today within your organization. So what I'm going to do is cut to the talk at Industry, the Product Conference that Marty gave. Again, we're going to zoom in on product leadership, one of the core competencies that Marty talked about as a part of being in the product operating model. Let's take a look.
Because there's one more competency that really is critical, and it's generally missing, even though companies that are using feature teams have people called product leaders, they don't have this role. It's a very different role. But the whole product model depends on having product leaders that do two big things. I love this quote. The only two things that really get in the way of good work. The first is your people do not know how to do good work. And this is important to realize. This is not something that's taught in most universities. In fact, it's often not done in a lot of companies if you hire somebody from another company. So you have to teach them. And second, they do know how to do their good job, but they don't care. They're not motivated. Those are the two things leaders are responsible for. And that turns into the two main responsibilities, coaching and strategy. Also known as strategy is part of strategic context. Here's the thing that needs to be, it's not obvious to a lot of people. You probably have figured out if you're going to have empowered product teams, you're going to be pushing decisions down to the product teams. That's the idea. But if you want those teams to make good choices, you need to push more than just the decision to them. You also need to push the strategic context. How could they make a good decision if they don't understand the holistic strategy? If they don't understand the holistic vision? If they don't understand the team topology, the bigger picture, what teams are working on what? If they don't understand the product principles that they have. You have to push that down as well so that they can make good choices. That's what's required. That's why Netflix has a mantra which is lead with context, not control. They want to have empowered teams, but they have to give those teams the context to make good decisions.
So, if you thought that product leadership was something that's so overly complex, you need to master 100 different things to be a product leader, Marty says no. You only really have to master two things. There are two major responsibilities for you as a product leader: coaching and strategy. It's just that simple. You only have two things to do, right? All right, maybe it's not so simple. It's simple in terms of a concept, but obviously to master what it takes to coach your team and to master what it means to really be strategic in your role, to know true product strategy. Those are things that sometimes take years, maybe even decades to master. But let's talk about it for a minute. So coaching and strategy, why are these the two main responsibilities when there's so many other things that are involved with being a product leader? Well, at the end of the day, your product is now your team. It doesn't matter what your product is. Could be some B2B SaaS software tool or, this consumer web app. Doesn't really matter. As a product leader, your product is your team. And so your two major responsibilities, coaching and strategy. Let's talk about coaching for a little bit. What does that really mean? What do we mean when we're saying we need to master what it takes to coach our team? Well, at the end of the day, at least as Marty's pointing out, coaching is all about empowering our team. We are available to our team. Yes, we're there for them to, whether there's issues to talk through, whether there are big ideas that they have and they need somebody above them in a way to talk through these ideas with them. That's what we're doing when we are coaching. I don't mean product coaching in the sense of, product coach on my business card, and here are the things I'm doing as a product coach. No, you're coaching people. Now your responsibility are the people that you're managing. But I said responsibility because it really is a responsibility, and empowering is a big part of that. In fact, Marty has a whole book called Empowered, right? I think that was the title of his book after he had the book Inspired. But what does it really mean to empower your team? What's important is your team has to understand the context. Your team has to understand where they're actually going. You can't empower your team unless they actually know which direction everybody's heading in, and that's where the strategy part comes in. Now, I'm actually going to let Marty talk a little bit more about what it means to focus on strategy. And as a product leader, why is this important? As a part of his talk at Industry, he went a little bit deeper to talk about product strategy. But if there's one thing as of right now I want you to think about, it is, as a product leader, how can you do a better job coaching? And how can you do a better job being strategic in your role and strategic with your team? Think about that. But let's go back to Marty as he zooms in even more on product strategy.
Product strategy is probably, honestly, my favorite thing to do is one of the concepts we'll talk about in a minute, which is product discovery. That's, to me, the most fun part of product. That is very hands-on. That's why product teams are creating. That's how they create. It's where innovative products come from. That said, I have to admit that product strategy is even more impactful to a company. Because product strategy is how you even decide what are the most important problems to go do product discovery on. So I've been a student of both forever. It's more fun to do product discovery, but product strategy, partly because product strategy is a whole lot of work. You have to immerse. You have to immerse in insights from your customers. Every insight you can. You just heard one of the sponsors talking about tools to help you get insights of what's going on. Product leaders live and breathe those insights. Insights come from our users and customers. They also come from the data. And today, of course, many of the most powerful insights are powered by data. There's not only, we can use data to make decisions for our products. We also use them to power our products today. But fundamentally, the data often holds the key to where we need to invest our time. And then, of course, insights from technology. For example, generative AI is a new emerging technology that's being used today in so many different companies for truly helping you disrupt spaces. Doesn't mean it's for everything. It's not. People are figuring that out. But it also is pretty amazing for many different domains, many different spaces. In product, and this is what I love about product, but we are always asking ourselves, is there a new way, is there a new technology, is there a new insight, is there a new tool that helps us solve long-standing problems in ways that our customers love but work for our business? Product is all about combining that need with what's just now possible. And yes, insights from the technology are things that are just now possible. There are also a lot of insights coming right now from the industry. The industry representing, depending on what you're working on, if you're working in media, if you're working in retail, if you're working in any of the tech brands, it's about how, what's going on in different parts of the world. Can you leverage that to help your customers? So the reason product strategy is so hard is because you're living and breathing all these insights. And once you've done this for several months, people start noticing, and what they'll often say is, oh, you have such great product sense. All that really is a recognition that you have been doing this. This is why product sense is not something you're born with. It's something you invest in and develop. And it comes from these insights. Insights can come from anywhere. These are just the 4 main sources.
So product leaders have to be adept at product strategy. And what does product strategy mean? According to Marty, product strategy means immersing yourself into insights to really understand the bigger picture. And those insights can come from so many different sources. Marty talked about 4 of them in particular. There's more than 4, but 4 of the key sources might be customers, data, technology, and industry. What does this mean? Customers. Constantly, we want to be in the product discovery process, right? That's an ongoing process. We should be meeting with customers. We should meet with our sales team, who's always meeting with customers, the customer success team. Those are all data points that will be really useful for us. Lots of insights to gather there. Data, right? We have access, hopefully, to loads and loads of data, loads of product data that we could be using. I mean, this counts as an insight too. There's technology. Of course, AI. I have to say AI. I have to say artificial intelligence. It helps with the YouTube algorithms here, right? Let's be honest. No, all kidding aside, yeah, I mean, AI now, this is one of the tools that we can use to pull out insights. As Marty pointed out, you don't have to use AI for every single thing, but we'd be kidding ourselves if we didn't think that AI could be useful in the way that we're collecting data, the way that we're collecting these insights. And of course, the industry. We have to be constantly keeping tabs on what's going on within our industry. This is all how you develop product sense. Marty points out that product sense is something that's developed over time. It's not something you're born with. Some people are like, wow, that person, Steve Jobs, he must have been born with product sense. Really, Steve Jobs likely did all of these things really, really well. So this is all what product strategy is all about. It's really important for us to be into all of this as product leaders. But there's one more thing that Marty pointed out in his talk that I thought would be relevant for product leaders as well. So I'm going to zoom to that right now. Product culture. As a product leader, it's a part of your responsibility to help set the culture for your team. Now, your company might have its own distinct culture. I would argue that as a product leader, you should be doing everything you can to help shape that culture. And a big part of it should be embracing failure. Now, when I say that, I don't mean that we want to fail. I don't mean that, if we fail, we're like, it's fine. We failed. Let's just move on. No, you have to learn from failures, but failures should be accepted. We shouldn't say, hey, there is no chance of anything we're doing will ultimately fail. Why? Because that means we're not going to take the big swings. If we are too afraid to fail within our organizations, it means we're going to play it safe. It means we're going to make safe choices only. The safe choices, if you think about all the tech products in this world that have really been grand slam home runs for their companies, none of them were safe. All of them, right? They took big risks to make those products game-changing products. And so it is up to you as a product leader to make sure that your culture is saying that, you know what? We know that we will fail at times, and we can accept that. We will learn from those failures to make things better, but we will not accept a culture where failure is not accepted. We will not accept that because we know that if we're doing that, we're not taking the big swings that are necessary. So again, 3 clips from Marty Cagan. I mean, the whole 45-minute keynote talk was amazing, but I wanted to pull out 3 distinct things that you could really get value from as a product leader?